welcome to the Ditch the Struggle podcast. I'm your host, Alana Rosso. I'm a graphic designer turned career and success coach who knew I could do better, but kept falling short of where I wanted to go. But after years of exploring personal and career development, business, money mindset, and energy work, I'm here to tell you that yes, you can move from stuck and defeated to empowered and confident. Ready to dive in? Awesome. Together, let's ditch the struggle. Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about decisions, small decisions, and a decision I made years ago that really did have a profound effect on my life, still does. And I'm hoping this episode just kind of inspires you to look at the small decisions that you can make that can lead to big changes. It's sometimes not things you do, but things you don't do, which is really what I'm talking about today. So years ago, I made the decision not to read design magazines. So like graphic design magazines, design industry, even interior design magazines for the most part. Now, I know magazines are not nearly as relevant now, so you can kind of take this story and really apply it, I think, to social media and get kind of a similar result. But back in the day when I was studying graphic design a billion years ago, it was all about these design magazines. So everyone was reading like Applied Arts, Azure, Wallpaper. I have no idea if these magazines actually still exist because I don't care about them. And that's not to be disrespectful. It's just that I decided that reading these magazines was not good for me. I was very insecure in the beginning of my design career, was really struggling. And I quickly realized that every time I flipped through the latest issue of Applied Arts or any of those magazines, I generally felt things like anxious, crappy, jealous, deflated, and kind of loser-esque. I definitely did not feel good. Now, I started to become conscious of how I was feeling. And that's what we need to do, right? We keep doing the same things over and over again. We do little things every day, but we don't always check in to see how we're feeling. I think a lot of people will notice how they feel about social media now, that they feel kind of crappy and they know when to shut it down. But sometimes it's hard because we think that we should be reading these things or indulging in this material. Now, everyone around me was reading these magazines and diving into this material and aspiring to be in one of these magazines. Like a lot of people wanted to be winners of Applied Arts Awards, things like that. And many of my friends, they would curl up with a design magazine, feel totally inspired, totally motivated, and couldn't wait to dive into their next project. Now, this was definitely not the case for me. The more I looked at what other designers were doing, the worse I felt. I just really couldn't help but go into major comparison mode and wonder why I should design anything at all, since it will be crap compared to the stunning work I kept seeing across these magazines. I just felt crappy. And there was a part of me that felt the pressure to read these magazines. Like I should see what's going on in the creative community. I should know who's blazing new trails. I should be able to simply appreciate others' work and not be so hard on myself. So I was saying a lot of shoulds, a lot of shoulding, right? And should is potentially one of the worst words in the English language. There really should be no shoulds. Should be no shoulds. There are no shoulds. Really, if we reframe it as I would as a coach, I could read the design magazine. And I could also not read the magazine. I could go and make my own decisions as to what I should read, or I could read, listen to, and the activities I participate in. But we get very caught up in what we should be doing. And there's pressures in every industry to do these certain things and attend these, events or go to these award ceremonies. Or, for me, it was just like getting in this design community and reading these magazines and we're such a visual medium, right? So just so much pressure to participate in this activity. And I just remember, gosh, I had a client years ago who was a very new graphic designer, but it was the second phase of her career. So she was older, but she was just starting out as a designer. And she confided in me that after she attended her first ever Design Thinkers graphic design conference in Toronto, she felt completely depressed. It wasn't because the RGD didn't put on an amazing event. So the Association of Registered Graphic Designers, I mean, they put on great events. It was because she felt overwhelmed by all of the talented designers and found herself thinking, I could never be that good. And as someone who is new to the industry, it makes sense that the conference would be triggering. Even seasoned graphic designers can have pangs of insecurity when totally immersed in the best of the best. I certainly did. Didn't matter how many years I've been doing graphic design or had been doing graphic design. If I attended a design conference, sometimes, depending on the flavor and the vibe of that year's conference, I would feel pretty crappy about myself. I would not be inspired. I would not be motivated. Now, in this case, I had to gently remind her that it's okay to not want to attend. Just because there is this collective expectation that you should go and it could be beneficial or would be beneficial, you still get to make the choice as to whether that is actually good for you. So if design magazines, conferences, certain social media platforms and profiles light you up, by all means, incorporate them into your life. If they don't, I'm officially giving you permission to let those go. And even though today I'm very secure in my design abilities, I still don't read magazines. I don't think I follow any graphic designers online at all. I follow some more interior design inspiration things, a few illustrators, but I just don't feel compelled to do so. I need to work with my blinders on, and I talk about this in quite a few of my different kind of presentations and coaching that I do. Sometimes just putting those blinders on, putting your head down, and not, really looking at what other people are doing, both positive, negative, and neutral, can be an amazing tactic. Now, it works really well for me. So for me, disconnecting from the design magazines and disconnecting from a lot of social media is helpful. And it will kind of pull you away from that comparison trap that is so common. It can be great to look at others for inspiration, but there really is a fine line between when it's inspiring and when it's actually dragging you down. So all you need to really do is check in to see how you are feeling each and every time you open up that magazine, open up that social media account, whatever it is, check in to see how you are feeling. At the end of the day, you really want to be selective. And I love to talk about discernment because I sometimes think we're not encouraged to be discerning, and that is the only way to navigate your specific career, your specific situation, is getting in touch with what makes sense for you. And if I find myself feeling crappy in any way, shape, or form after something, looking at something, being somewhere, I don't go back. End of story. I decide what I need and when, and I try as much as I can to honor those feelings every single day. And I know this has been a small but important part of building my self-esteem over the years. So really paying attention to what I engage in, how it makes me feel. Because remember that you absolutely are kind of the captain of your own journey. You are the one that gets to make the choices. You're in charge of what you look at. You are also in charge of your calendar and what you spend time with. And I think we forget that. There's just such a pressure to do the shoulds. And I remember it was a grief counselor that pointed out to me years ago, so this would have been around 2011, that I was always saying should, that I should be doing this, I should be further along, I should be this. And she just smacked it down, laid down the hammer. We had a lot of conversations about should. And I encourage you, every time you just catch yourself saying, I should do something, I should go to the gym, I should, start writing that blog, just simply change should to could. or I could go to the gym. I can go to the gym. It has a different vibe, and it is kinder. It's a kinder way to approach things. So ultimately, choose to build yourself up with every decision you make. Choose to build yourself up, not down, not tearing yourself down. And one of the easiest ways to do that is checking in to see if the decisions that you're making, those small ones every single day, are expansive or contractive. Are they light? Are they heavy? How do they actually feel? So with that, I will wish you well with your decision making. And remember, it's a could, not a should. Take care, guys. Thank you for joining me today on Ditch the Struggle. You showing up here means so much to me. To dig deeper into the topics discussed today and to learn about my work, visit alanarosa.com. And don't forget to download your free resources while you're there. And if this episode resonated with you, please share with others who also want to ditch the struggle. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating and a review, and let me know what you'd like to see more of on this podcast. And before I go, I want to leave you with my 3 favorite ways to ditch the struggle. Be your own best advocate, take baby steps for the win, and forget about a linear career path. It's overrated and you are doing just fine. See you next time.